for today morning BS Sadhaka program. We are reading and discussing from teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and today we're going to read and discuss from the chapter 11. Let's offer prayers together. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. क्या बजा रही है क्या कर रहे हो Hare Krishna. So okay, sorry, I got distracted with the sound which was coming. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. I just made some sound changes. Is the sound is okay? How is the sound now? Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. All right. So today we are reading from the 11th chapter, titled as Service to the Lord. And we'll begin our discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll give you a little background and then we'll come to it. So after describing about the Lord, his Tattva Vishesh, his Rupa Vishesh, all that has been discussed, who is the wise man, the one who approaches and takes shelter of the Lord, then his different incarnation of that. All those details have been described. Now, after Bhagavan have been described in detail, now Bhakti has been discussed. The 11th chapter, very, very beautiful chapter. There are two things largely have been focused in this chapter. One is the glories of the Bhakti, and second is how an individual receives Bhakti, or how we get Bhakti. These are the two subject matter which have been taken. So just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begins the discussion, we're also beginning it. However, I'm just giving you a little background here. And we're reading from the first canto, 4th chapter, where Nadmani comes and meets Vyasadev. It is just a moment before when Nadmani comes. And Vyasadev is a little bit munching about how to do good for the people of the residents of Kali Yuga, which are about to come. So this is verse number 17 and 18 translation. The great sage was fully equipped with knowledge, could see with his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life, would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus, Vyasadeva contemplated for the welfare of man in all statuses and orders of life. So here it is described how Srila Vyasadeva was conscious as well as worried about the well-being of the future generations, which would be born in the age of Kali, like that. And what happened? Text number 19. He saw that the sacrifice mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people occupation could be purified. And to simplify the process, they divide the one Veda into four in order to expand them among men. So just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yagna arthat karmano anitra lokoyam karma bandhana. Yagna means sacrifice. So everything that we do, we should do it as a sacrifice, the spirit of sacrifice. So that what Vyasadeva saw, the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which people occupation could be purified. So one second. Yeah. So correct. So that's a point here. Occupation could be purified. And just to simplify the one Veda, he divided into four Vedas. Is incredible work. It is said just to give a commentary on Vedas is a lifetime work. Imagine to divide the four Vedas, what would have been a huge task. Text number 20. The four divisions of original source of knowledge were made separately. But the historical facts and authentic stories mention the Purana called the fifth Vedas. So Vedas got divided into Rig, Yaja, Samar, and Sama, and Atharva Veda. Rig Veda, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda. And then he compiled Puranas, which are the fifth Vedas. After the Vedas were divided into four, Paila Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jaimini became the professor of Sama Veda, Vaishampayana alone became glorified by the Yajurveda. Like that, Srila Vyasadeva handed over these Vedas to his disciples and told them to carry forward the lineage like this. Text number 22. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda. And because this is Sutta Goswami speaking, my father, Rom Harshana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records like this. And text number 23. All these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, which means they spoke about it, they taught about it to their disciples, grand disciples, great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into the existence, which means Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva, Purana, Itihas, like this, spread around all over the globe. Like this has been described. And who is the source of all of it? Srila Vyasadeva. Why did Vyasadeva do it? Out of his great compassion for the residents of Kali Yuga, isn't it? So great, incredible. This is the highest charity one can ever do. The greatest charity. Let me ask you the question. What is the greatest charity? Give me one word answer. What is the greatest charity? Okay, Bhagavad Gita to somebody. What is to give spiritual? The greatest charity, even in the mundane world, is education. Knowledge, precisely, not education, knowledge. So people think wealth is a charity, food is a charity, shelter is a charity, clothes is a charity. No, education is a charity. Why? Because if you educate them, then they will get everything by themselves. Yes or no? They can get cloth, they can get shelter, they can get food. You give them cloth, food, shelter, they may or may not get everything else. So education is the highest. So Srila Vyasadeva, I just wanted to understand, Srila Vyasadeva have given the highest. He has given the education for all the people to come. And then there's the great sage Vyasa, who was very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intelligent men, and therefore he composed Mahabharata. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it was wise thus that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus he compiled a great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, friends of the twice born. Now Mahabharata, we may not know Vedas, how big, how small they are. Mahabharata has 1 lakh verses. Srila Vyasadeva. How many of you had challenge writing or composing a WhatsApp message? When you write 2 lines and then you make edits, and then again you write 1 more line, then again you make an edit. It takes a couple of minutes to write a message. particularly when you're sending to your manager. Yes or no? How many of you challenge? Just sending a WhatsApp message, text message, so challenging. Think about writing a letter. How much challenging it is. Now, writing a letter is difficult. Think about how challenging it would be to write an article. Now, think about composing Mahabharata, 1 lakh verses. Are you getting some, what a task Srila Vyasdev did. And he did it with a complete compassion for others, magnanimity. That was his heart. But something goes missing. Text number 26. Evam parvatasya sada bhutanam sheyasi dvijaha sarvatmekanapi yada natushyadridayam tataha. Or twice one Brahmana, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in the working for the total welfare of all people. So, Sutta Goswami is saying, still, Srila Vyasdev, let me tell you how this, what is the way the psychology of the mind works. So we all begin with doing things for ourselves. We are self-centered. And we remain self-centered for a long, long period of time. In fact, all through the life, mundane life. So everything is what's in for me. So the driving factor in the beginning of the life is wealth. After wealth is accrued, after some point of time in life, when you have enough wealth, then wealth is no more an instigating factor, inspiring factor. Then what do you want? You want to have control. You want to get into leadership position where you can influence people and become controller. So being influential is more satisfying than just having wealth. When you become influential, you can influence people and whatnot, yet your heart is not satisfied. Then what is the next stage? You want to be worshipped. We want to be worshipped and glorified as our Data, Jagannath, our protector. So what people do then? Then they open charitable organizations. Like, who is that Microsoft guy? Bill Gates. He opened charitable organization, etc., etc., and he himself underwent family crisis. Isn't it? If you're so good, you're worrying about welfare of others, why would you go through a family crisis? And then they open this charitable organization idea is not to distribute wealth as per se, they only distribute a very fraction of the wealth, and for that also they get a lot of tax benefits. Please understand that. It's not that they're doing something for the masses. But what they accrue, they want to be worshipped. They want people to say, Hamare protector hai. So this is how generally it works. Even after doing all this thing, a person is not satisfied. Classic example is Mr. Bill Gates. His wife divorced him, or he divorced his wife, and he started this Malanda Foundation so long ago, isn't it? If you were so happy, you should be so content. That's the reason you're giving out to this. So similarly, we see in the life of Vyasdev, he gave out so much, yet his mind is not satisfied. The point is, what can satisfy the mind? And for that purpose, Narad Muni appears to him. And Narad Muni sarcastically speaks to Vyasa. He says, oh, Vyasa, you're so great. You know everything. You're given the way for liberation to everyone. So you must be extremely happy. And Vyasa said, my dear Gurudev, you know everything. Why you are poking me? Why you're making fun of me? You know why am I dissatisfied? Please guide me. And then Narad Muni said, Vyasa, what have you done? You've given the way for masses to perform karma kanda. And from there attain Purushata, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You have given the way to moksha, but you have not shown them the way of prema. Therefore, they all are dissatisfied and disheartened. And I'm sorry, therefore, you are dissatisfied. Now you have composed so much. Now you should compose the final work of your life, and let that be called as Srimad Bhagavatam, which should only contain of about Lord's pastimes, Lord's glories. It should only discuss about Lord. But Lord, there cannot be any subject matter about Lord without bhakta. So speak about devotees, the pure devotees of the Lord. And what binds devotee with the Lord is bhakti. Please speak elaborately about bhakti. When you speak about bhakti, Bhagwan and Bhakta would also be covered. And that's how he composed Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's how, after talking about bhakti, glorifying bhakti, Vyasdev's restlessness, little bit of restlessness or dissatisfaction of the mind evaporated. That is the glories of devotional service. And that's how chapter 11 begins, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives hundreds and hundreds of references about how glorious bhakti is. Let me give you one more point. Just like it is mentioned, we're going to discuss this also on the coming Saturday in an NOI class. Drashte Swabhava Janatir Vapuchashta Doshe. Where Rupa Goswami says we should not look at the physical deformities of the devotees of the Lord as a result of their past karma, because the past karma does not exist for devotees of the Lord. Now, when he says it does not exist for the devotees of the Lord, which means those who are initiated, those who have taken into initiation, for them, the past karma does not exist. Their karmic account balance is totally nullified. This is the power of bhakti. Nothing, no power can nullify our karmic balance. Now, of course, it's a discussion which I would have elaborately on Saturday. Then if karmic balance is nullified, and then why are we still surviving and how are we surviving? That we'll discuss later on, or what's the process about it. But I'm saying it is only through bhakti we get rid of all our prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. And our account balance is zero, particularly at the time of initiation. Now, what happens after initiation is not the result of sin. All the troubles that come in our life is not because of the sins. Any and every situation that arises in our life, which is maybe unfavorable, is only because of aparadha. The point I'm trying to make here is, once a devotee comes under the supervision or guidance of internal energy of the Lord through the means of diksha by the spiritual master, as the scripture says, it is Krishna who brings one closer to Guru, and it is Guru who brings one closer to Krishna. In fact, it is said, what is that? Diksha kare Atma Samaprana, Shishya kare Atma Sama. At the time of Diksha, the Shishya does surrender. He surrenders himself, and then Krishna considers him almost at the same level. Which means when one has taken a shelter of Krishna through the means of bhakti, and particularly have taken to Diksha also, then he is not governed by the laws of nature. He is directly governed by the internal energy of the Lord. Any sinful reaction, not sinful reaction, any sufferings that he faces now is not because of the sin. Even if apiche suduracharo bhajate ma ananyavad. What does Krishna say? Even if somebody have done apiche suduracharo, not durachar, not achar, durachar, sudurachar. Even if somebody has done the most abominable sinful activity, he is still to be considered a Mahatma if he is still fixed in his principles of bhakti. What does it mean? It means such a person is not governed by the established rules or the laws of material nature. He is beyond it. The moment he takes initiation, you are out of the control of the material energy. We are still functioning. We are still going on with our life. We'll discuss about it more on coming Saturday, but maybe I can just give one point over here, because we're trying to talk about the glories of bhakti. Why we are still, within this body, etc. Because bhakti needs to be performed with the help of the body. If we don't have a body, how will we perform bhakti? And if we don't perform bhakti, how do we purify ourselves further? Our karmic bank balance might have got nullified, but we have not become qualified to attain the state of prema. Therefore, we have been given this facility, even beyond Diksha, to continue on with this body, continue within this body, just to perform and purify oneself, to become qualified to enter into the pastimes of the Lord. And once again, what happens with the devotee in his life is not because of sins, is only because of aparad. Vaishnava aparad, seva aparad, nama aparad, the different offenses, because of which, therefore, scripture says the most grievous offense for an individual is Vaishnava aparad. By no means one should get involved into fault finding, criticizing a Vaishnava like that. And that's how bhakti protects. And why does we don't fall dead? It's just to protect bhakti. Otherwise, imagine just by taking diksha, surrendering oneself to the process of bhakti, a person will become all purified and will become liberated. Can you imagine how many rascals will come and take to the process of bhakti? An example, in Srila Prabhupada's time, a college student came and started living with devotees. Within a month's time, he pretended to be a very sincere practitioner, took initiation. 2 days after, he disappeared. And then the devotees went to look for him. Where is he? And then he was found. And he was asked, what are you doing? You're back to be your normal life. He said, well, I just came to take initiation because I read somewhere if you take initiation, all your karmic bank balance is nullified. And then it was informed to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, I never accepted him as my disciple. Go and tell him his karmic account balance is as it is. you know, I never accepted him. So therefore the acknowledgement of the Guru, that yes, I accept him, is the way it works. So it's a pretty interesting subject matter. We'll explore more in Saturday afternoon class. Let's come back to the glories of Bhakti now. So this is the whole overview over here, and let's take a look at it. So I'll give you synopsis. So the first 2-3 paragraphs is what we have discussed here. Talks about Srila Vyasa's story. Reading from the third paragraph. Anyone would like to read online? We read from the third paragraph. There are many sages who are expert in performing austerities. There are many men who give much in charity. There are many famous men, scholars, thinkers, and those who are very expert in reciting Vedic hymns. All of these are all auspicious unless one utilizes resources and performs his activities to attain devotional service to the Lord, he cannot attain the desired results. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord as the only person who can award success. It is accepted. Go ahead.
It is accepted by all types of philosophers and transcendentalists that one who lacks knowledge cannot be liberated from material entanglement. Yet, knowledge without devotion service cannot possibly avoid liberation. In other words, when jnana or the cultivation of knowledge opens onto the path of devotional service, it can give one liberation, but not otherwise. This is also stated by Brahma in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.4.
Jaya Shrutim Bhaktim Udasyate Vibhu Klishyanti Ye Kevala Bhuda Labdhaye Tesham Asuklecha Eva Shishyate Nanyat Yatha Stula Tusavagatainam.
My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of knowledge or in speculation, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired results. A person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, and one who engages simply in speculative knowledge cannot achieve the desired result of self realization. The only gain is trouble.
So now next, Devi Yeshuganamai Mama Maya Duratya is quoted to explain a point that you cannot even cross beyond the clutches of three modes unless we take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in the next paragraph, this discussion begins about Varnashrama. The 8 divisions of society, 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas, spiritual orders and social orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, the social orders, and Brahmachari, Grastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi are the 4 spiritual orders like this. The idea of Varnashrama Dharma is to purify oneself by engaging into an occupation according to one's psychophysical nature, which will in return make you content with life, and then performing, rules and regulation, living life with rules and regulation, and gradually purify oneself to attain liberation or moksha like this. But the moksha is not the goal of life. Liberation has many stages and many meanings. One aspect of moksha, which is often mentioned along with purushartha, is freedom from suffering, and could be a Brahman realization also. Therefore, this paragraph concludes with, therefore, whoever is engaged in his occupational duty must simultaneously cultivate Krishna consciousness in devotional service if he wants liberation from material clutches. Liberation from material clutches can only happen if somebody performs bhakti. Otherwise, everything else is shama eva hi kevalam, useless. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a verse. This comes from the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Nad Muni is speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and where Nad Muni says, pointed out that the 4 divisions of human society, as well as the 4 orders of life, are born out of the gigantic form of the Lord, which means universal form. The Brahmanas are born from the mouth, the Kshatriyas are born of the arms, Vaishya are the waist, Shudra are the legs. As such, they are qualified in the different modes within the form of Virat Purusha. If a person is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he falls from his position, regardless of whether he executes his prescribed occupational duty or not. So just to say I'm engaged according to my, dharma, it is not sufficient unless one cultivate bhakti. Next, please read.
Lord Chaitanya further points out that those who belong to the Mayavadi or impersonalist school consider themselves to be one with God or liberated, but according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and Srimad Bhagavatam, they are not actually liberated. In this regard, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again quotes Srimad Bhagavatam.
Beautiful. Ye anne arvindaksha vimukti maninas tvayasthabhavad vishuddha buddhayah आरुह्य कृच्छ्रेण परम पदम ततः पतन्ति यद्धोनादृत युष्मद् अंग्रयः.
Those who think that they are liberated according to Mayavadi philosophy, but who do not take to the devotional service of Lord, fall down for want of devotional service. Even after they undergo the severest type of penances and austerities, and even after they sometimes approach the supreme position.
Now next, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that Krishna is like sun. So point is, Devi Yeshu Ganamai Maya Dharatya. So only by taking shelter of the Krishna, you can surpass Maya. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives another reference. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, fifth chapter, verse number 13, where it is said that the illusory energy of Maya is ashamed to stand before the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this concept with the analogy of a sun, rising of the sun. The rising of the sun happens, darkness automatically gets dissipated. That's the point about it here. My dear Lord Krishna, from this day I am yours. He at once gets out of the clutches of material energy. This is also confirmed in Ramayana, Lanka Kanda, where Ramdev ji, Lord Ram said, even if now Ravana would have to come and surrender me, I am willing to give him all protection. Sakradeva prapanno yas tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami tad vratam mama. Please read.
It is my promise and duty to give all protection to one who surrenders unto me without reservation. One may enjoy fruitive activities, liberation, jnana, or the perfection of the yoga system. But if one becomes very intelligent, he'll give up all these paths and engage himself in sincere devotional service to the Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms 2.3.10.
Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udharidi tivrena bhakti yojena yajate sa purushaha param. So the idea is, uh, you know, the one who becomes intelligent gives up all kind of paths and engages himself in sincere devotional service. In any condition, we should still approach the Lord, even if you have no desires, all the desires that you desire, moksha. They do not know the result of devotional service is not material benediction, but because they engage themselves in devotional service of the Lord, they ultimately come to understand that material enjoyment is not the goal of devotional service. Krishna himself says that persons who want some material benefit in exchange for devotional service are certainly foolish because they want something which is poisonous for them. This is a very interesting concept again. We'll try to elaborate more in the coming NOI discussion. But take a look at it. So, although this will be raised in this chapter also, why would somebody in general comes to take to Krishna consciousness? Why would somebody knocks on the door of the temple? Ato athati jigyasu jnanicha bharata sabha. Some of us could be jnani or could be jigyasu or in general artho and arthati. We were distressed or we're looking for some benedictions in our life. That's the reason we came to the temple of the Lord. So let's say most of us generally fall into the category of distress. We were distressed, we came here. Now, this is my question to all of you. Of course, many of you have not been even initiated. Just looking at the practical glories of bhakti, would you agree? Would you agree, although you're not initiated yet, some of you are initiated, would you agree you feel so relieved from the material fire? Your life is far much more relieved and comfortable, as unlike what life you had before the practice of bhakti. Yes or no? Now, this is something which you have not yet even, you have just experienced the power of bhakti in terms of because you have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, you're following him in that way. And what happens at the time of initiation, as I was saying, everything is burnt to ashes. The point here is Krishna is saying this is ridiculous. Why would you want to ask for material benefits when bhakti gives you everything anyways? When bhakti itself destroys all your karma, which means sets you free from all the past sinful reactions, then where is the question of suffering and inauspiciousness remaining in your life? When there is nothing in auspiciousness, which means all auspiciousness, in that situation also, you come and ask for material benefit. Are you crazy? It is already given. Ask for something. What is the highest? Ask for prema. Long for prema. Why are you asking for something which is already given? And therefore, the famous verse by Prahlad Maharaj, chewing the chewed. Are you not frustrated chewing the chewed? Same thing you're asking again and again. And that's the reason it is mentioned here. Krishna said that the persons who want some material benefit in exchange for devotional service are certainly foolish because they want something which is poisonous for them. So there are two things happen. One, everything is set free from us, all the karma is burnt away. Second thing, which means we should have all auspiciousness. Yes. Yet we find devotees at times struggling. We find sometimes crisis in the life of devotees, although we don't go through the major crisis that a karmi goes through. If in general you see, there were very handful devotees who would have struggled, whose cases would have been elevated to, let's say, COVID crisis, who regularly meets accidents, etc. There were very handful of cases. We don't go through the suffering in general as an outsider goes. Would you agree, disagree? Does anyone have an issue with roti kapda makan here? You all have roti kapda makan. Can you imagine how much people outside struggle just to sustain and maintain roti kapda makan? Well, you're also living a life now. You're either working in IT, or your husband is working in IT, or you're working in IT. But now you don't have any anxiety for roti kapda makan. But how much people struggle outside for roti kapda makan? So like this, there's so much things happening, but we don't pay attention to it. But still, somewhere, maybe because of lack of good association, Krishna is saying people ask for material benefits. This is utter foolishness. So I was making the second point. Okay, although there is only auspiciousness, what is that shloka from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Klesha, kya hai? Kleshagni. Kleshagni subhadha moksha lagatak sudulabha. Klesha agni subhadha. So there is only auspiciousness. All klesha have been destroyed. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says. All the klesha have been destroyed. Yet, there are sometimes devotees face challenges in their life. Why they face challenge in life? Because Krishna, again, once you have taken, we'll take a look at more scriptural references in upcoming session. We'll see how Krishna takes charge of the life of a devotee because the devotee have given his life or surrender himself to Guru. Then Krishna takes charge. And when Krishna takes charge of a life of a devotee, then Krishna gives only those things which will help him move forward in his spiritual life. And if you aren't getting anything in your life, despite your repetitive attempts, stop making attempts. Stop making struggle. Samjhe kuch? Don't make more attempts. Krishna doesn't want you to get into entanglement. Move forward, accept what is coming, and make progress. Therefore, Krishna sometimes puts devotees in challenging situations, so much so they become so helpless, everything is taken away from them, where they have nothing else but to fully take shelter of Krishna. The only situation where devotees have struggled, extreme amount of struggles, are the only cases of pure devotees like Pandavas, like Srila Prabhupada. Before starting his con, during his con also, he really had to struggle. That is example setting. Despite Krishna being personally present, yet Pandavas had to struggle literally all their life, for most part of their life. It's just because Krishna wanted to use them as an example to teach us how those who are practicing bhakti, they are, what is that? Neha Vikramanashwasi Pratyavayana. Those who are taken to bhakti, No harm can happen to them. No harm can happen to them. All right. Please read. You were reading or I was reading? Go ahead.
Okay.
I was reading from where? Krishna himself
Krishna,
says the real goal of devotion service is prema. And although a person may desire material benefits for Krishna, the Lord, being all powerful, considers a person's position and gradually liberates him from materially ambitious life, engages him more in devotional service. When one is actually engaged in devotional service, he forgets his material ambitions and desires. This is also this is interesting. Huh? I'll repeat again. When one is actually engaged, when you're really performing bhakti, you will become free from material ambitions and desire. Any Shastra reference? Vasudeva, Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga, Prayojita, Janayati Asu, Vairagyam, Jnanam Chayat, Ahitukam. When one engages into bhakti, then Vairagya knowledge descends on its own. Translation of the fifth canto verse. Please read.
Lord Krishna certainly fulfills the desire of his devotees who come to him in devotional service, but he does not fulfill desire that would again cause miseries. In spite of being material ambitious, such devotee, by rendering transcendental service, are gradually purified of desires for material enjoyment, and they come to desire the pleasure of devotional service. Generally, people come into the
Now,
association.
so this is about bhakti. Now, why do people come to take to Krishna consciousness? That is artho, that has been mentioned here. And then Prabhupada gives example. First, he says, devotion service is so nice and pure in the middle of the paragraph that it purifies the individual and he forgets all material ambitions for which he took up to bhakti. A practical example, Prabhupada says, Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted something material from Krishna, but when he engaged in devotional service and the Lord appeared, Dhruva said, my dear Lord, because I engaged myself in your devotional service with great austerity and penances, I'm now seeing you. Even great demigods and great sages are difficult to seeing you. Now I am pleased with all my desires are satisfied. I do not want anything else. Although you wanted a kingdom greater than Brahma. I was searching for some broken glass, but instead I found a great valuable gem. Thus Dhruva Maharaj was fully satisfied and refused to ask anything to the Lord like this. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes a point. Do you recognize, do you understand after how long you have attained a human form of life? Please read.
The living entity transmigrating through 8.4 million species of life is sometimes likened to a log which is gliding down a river. Sometimes, by chance, a log washes upon shore and is thus saved from being forced to drift further downstream. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which encourages every conditioned soul in this way. No one should be depressed by thinking that he will never be out of the clutches of matter, for there is every possibility of being rescued, exactly as it is possible for a log which is floating down a river to come to rest on the bank. This fortunate opportunity is also discussed by Lord Chaitanya. Such fortunate incidents are considered the beginning of the decline of one's conditional life, and they occur if there is association with the pure devotees of the Lord. By associating with pure devotees, one actually develops attraction for Krishna. There are various types of rituals and activities, and some of them develop into material enjoyment and some into material liberation. But if a living entity takes to those ritualistic activities by which pure devotional service to the Lord is developed in the association of pure devotees, then one's mind naturally becomes attracted to devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.51.54, it is stated by Muchukunda.
भवापवर्गो भ्रमतो यदा भवेत् जनस्य तर्हि अच्युता सत्समागमः सत्सङ्गमो यर्हि तदैव सद्गतौ परावरेशे त्वयि जायते मतिः.
My dear Lord, while traveling in this material world through different species of life, a living entity may progress toward liberation. But if, by chance, he comes in contact with a pure devotee, he becomes actually liberated from the clutches of material energy and becomes a devotee of yourself, the personality of Godhead.
Now, what happens when somebody becomes a devotee of the Lord? The Lord trains him in two ways. He trains him from without through the spiritual master. He trains him from within through the super soul. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 29th chapter, verse number 6. My dear Lord, even if sometime attains a life as long as Brahma's, he will still be unable to express his gratitude for the benefits derived from remembering you. Out of your causeless mercy, you drive away all inauspicious conditions, expressing yourself from outside as a spiritual master, Chaitya Guru, and from inside as Paramatma. Please read.
Somehow or other, if one gets in touch with a pure devotee, thus develops a desire to render devotional service to Krishna, he gradually rises to the platform of love of Godhead and is thus freed from the clutches of material energy.
11th canto, 20 chapter, verse number 8 says, for one,
For one who is attracted by my activities out of his own accord, being neither lured nor repelled by material activities, the path of devotional service leading to the perfection of love of God becomes possible. However, it is not possible to achieve the stage of perfection without the favor of a pure devotee or a Mahatma or a great soul. Without the mercy of a great soul, one cannot even be liberated from the material clutches. And what to speak of rising to the platform of love of Godhead?
an example is given from the 5th canto about Rahuguna meeting with Jada Bharat. Rahuganeta tapasanayati nache jaya nirvapanad grahatva nachandasane vajalagni surye vina mahatpadarajo abhishekam.
My dear Rahuguna, no one can attain the perfected stage of devotional service without being favored by a great soul or a pure devotee. No one can attain the perfectional stages simply by following the regulatory principles of his scriptures, or by accepting the renounced order of life, or by prosecuting the prescribed duties of householder life, or by becoming a great student of spiritual science, or by accepting severe austerities and penances for realization. Similarly, when the atheist Father Hiranyakashipu asked his son Prahlad Maharaj how it was he became attracted to devotional service, the boy replied, as long as one is not favored by the dust of the feet of pure devotees, he cannot even touch the path of devotional service, which is the solution to all the problems of material life.
Hare Krishna. So, Bhakti. What is Bhakti? What are the benedictions of Bhakti? And how Bhakti ultimately awards Prema. How do we attain Bhakti? By association of devotees. And in that, the most rare and the sacred association is of the pure devotees. That is what is the discussion. And in that, to help us understand how rare and important the association of Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about 8.4 million species. After wandering around for so long, finally we have come to this uniform life wherein sadhu sanga sarva shastra koy, lava mata sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoy, brahmande brahmite kona bhagyavan jiva, Guru Krishna prasade paye, bhakti lata beach. So more or less those are the concepts which have been discussed here like this. And now the glories of the association of pure devotee is being described, which will continue tomorrow because it's almost time up, 8:29. So here again the continued discussion will be about another for 1 or 2 paragraphs is about associating, the association of the great souls. How even the moment association with them can sow the seed of bhakti in our heart. And then once we take to the process of bhakti, there is no, returning back. How much ever we want to walk away from it, Krishna would still guide us back. Just like Prabhupada writes in one of the purport, a devotee is helplessly dragged to perfection. Even if he doesn't want to, no, 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 मुझे यही रहना है, मुझे यही रहना है. His hands and thighs are tied up now to Golok Vrindavan, and he is dragged to Golok Vrindavan. नहीं, चलो, चलो तुम, चलो यहाँ से, चलो. This may happen in one lifetime, I don't guarantee. तो ज्यादा खुश मत होना कि कोई बात नहीं, हम तो वैसे भी खींचे जाएंगे, मेहनत क्यों करनी है. No need for morning program, no need for this, no need for that. अभी कृष्णा देखेंगे. It's not like that. So with that, I pause over here. We'll continue when. At least we'll complete this chapter before we take a break for Kartik Yatra. So tomorrow will be Bhagavatam. Saturday, Sunday, I'll let you know if my schedule permits. We'll have it on Saturday and Sunday also. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Hare Krishna.